I'm Stephanie Eichenberg, and I'm a board member of Toledo Public Schools. I am a TPS graduate, and when my children started to attend Beverly Elementary, I became involved in some of the parent, PTO type activities. As we did that, though, you start to begin to understand some of the pressures that the schools are under and all the things that they're trying to sort through. And I thought at the time that there were things that I could bring that were just a little bit of a different skill set to the board. My background is entirely in the business world. I've grown up in corporate America. It's very different from education. And I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Education isn't meant to be a business, and we don't want to serve our students like a business. So that sort of attracted me to bringing that businessy mindset with understanding how different education is and that our kids, our children, should be the focus to the board. So that was my initial interest. One of the things is funny, when I first ran for the board, one of my taglines was actually, I believe our children are more than a test score. And I do. Our students are so much more than a test score. I've spent several years now kind of talking to people around the state about the Ohio School Report Card. And, it's great that there were some small steps taken this year in the Ohio legislature to modify it a bit, but it still stands that right now, when we look at our Ohio School Report Cards, 85% of what's on that report card is driven from the standardized tests that our students take each spring. Many parents and students, and I think educators, don't really perceive or see a lot of value in those tests, and in part because there are great diagnostic tests out there that our teachers can use, and our state tests are really just another measurement that gets piled on top, and they're not really utilized, they're not very immediate. And so when you use that to drive a report card to talk about the quality of your school system, you're missing so many things. We should measure what matters. What is it that engages our students? Is it being an artist? Is it being an athlete? Is it being a member of student council? If those are the things that helps our students show up every day and come to school and do their best in school in their classes, those are the things we should be measuring, in addition to what are they learning. One of the interesting limitations of a report card that's based almost exclusively on test data is that when you have an unusual disruption, like we had this past year in the pandemic, you really can't get a good measure. So this past spring, many parents were not feeling good about sending their children to a physical school yet. And I think that that's a choice our parents should have been allowed to make. Unfortunately, those students also went untested. So when we look at our school report card data this year, what we see is that because over 4,000 of our students opted not to come in and take a physical test, we get zeros for those students. What sense does that make? Why should we be measuring our parents' choice to keep their children safe in a negative light? It just doesn't compute for me. Further, when we are only looking at test scores, or mostly looking at test scores for a report card, the really difficult part of that is that you don't measure some of the critical things that we know our students need to feel safe and to learn effectively. So when we look at a school report card, nobody is measuring, does that student have access to health care? Are they currently well, and is somebody looking after their wellness? We have actual on-site healthcare centers at our high schools, and yet that's not measured and doesn't show up anywhere on the state report card. The other piece that we don't see on the report card that can be very frustrating is a look at how well are you funding your schools. We have had incredible community support in the Toledo community, supporting our levies with local funds. You don't see rates of approval like we see in Toledo, and I thank the Toledo community for that, but at the same time, I think that should be reflected in our report card. We are a school system that the community believes in and is willing to help fund. When we look at the options that we can offer our students, it really crosses the gamut of what do you want to do when you grow up? It helps students who may not have been exposed to a lot of different ways of working in a lot of different job fields to get exposed in an earlier age. We've implemented a careers program that crosses 7th and 8th grade so that you don't miss out, and there are all these options for you. And those magnet schools and the thematic curriculum that we offer there, they make it so that students can understand that the whole world is available to them. They can learn to get their pilot's license. Who learns that in high school, right? They can learn to fix that airplane too. That's incredible. But they also can say, I really want to be college prep. I want to go to college, and they can go and they can get more than 60 college credits. We see that every year at Toledo Early College, where there's students who graduate with more than 60 college credits from high school. which is incredible. When we think about our magnet schools and we think about all the career tech programs that we have distributed throughout our comprehensive high schools as well, you know, it doesn't matter if you want to be a barber. It doesn't matter if you want to learn to do HVAC for a living. You could be a medical technician and graduate and go into nursing easily because you know all that terminology. You can learn any of these things. You can fly an airplane. It's all at TPS.